Welcome to a new video from Lessons in Logic. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to record a whole week's worth of trading and see how we get on. This is always something I'd planned to do from the start of the season, but was just waiting for the main leagues to reach the 8-game mark, which most of them have now done. Although not every trade will be recorded for the video, every trade will be logged and will be verified at the end of the week so that everything is completely transparent. A video like this has been previously done by other traders and I welcome that. Anyone who gives out strategies on YouTube and says they're profitable should be made to do a video of at least a week's trading using that strategy in order to give confidence to the user base. Hopefully the guys that made the earlier video will come back now 8 games are up with a second video and actually will demonstrate some of their strategies, which I know will be helpful to many of their user base and also to myself who just likes watching trading content. For my video, I've created several rules which I need to follow throughout the week. So the first rule is I must refresh the bank balance at the beginning and the end of the week for transparency. And I'll show you in a second a few tricks which I have seen online before where people do manipulate their bank balance. And as I'm being totally transparent, I will show my bank balance at the start and at the end, refreshed so there can be no HTML manipulation. Second rule, every trade must be logged. And trades where the return is greater than the stake must be shown as live in the video to show that I'm not just making the things up. But again, that goes back to point one with the balances. So there should be no fun and games here with manipulation of wins. Everything will add up. Also, I'm allowed to do the Betfair prize pinball. These winnings will count and must be shown in the final figure. And also, as I've said before, any sport can be selected and some trades can be done off the video. And most importantly, it is not imperative to end the week in profit. I've got no idea whatsoever how this is all going to end up. Hopefully with a profit, but who knows. I'm not a pro. I don't claim to be a pro. And this is just a bit of fun. And I'm assuming that most of the people that watch my videos are in a similar position to me, whereas the trading is done as a hobby or just an extra little bit of cash. And that is important to remember that it should be fun. And when it's not fun, that's the moment you need to stop trading. So those are the rules. Let's move on. As I mentioned, I'm showing my bank balance in these videos. I always have done. And to be honest, I don't see why other people don't do it. It's not a indication of your status. It's just a bank used for your trading. I've got more than £158 in my main account, you'd be pleased to know. But that's just the amount that I'm building up with trading. And with small stakes, it's an ideal bank to use. In other videos, people are happy to show you what stakes they're putting on, but not what percentage that is of their actual bank, which is a little bit remiss in my opinion. And also as well, I've seen this figure shown in static screenshots rather than in a live trading window like this, and that is important. So if we change this to say 31,658, and if we close that, so as it stands I've got 31,658 in my Betfair account allegedly, which we know is not true because I've just changed these figures. I can now take a screenshot of this and say, hey, look what size my bank is. And you can see what's happened there, which is why people do take screenshots of this rather than use a live feed of their screen. Because after a set period of time, Betfair will refresh your balance back to its current one. That's a little bit underhand in my opinion, but I digress. I don't know why people don't show this more often. There may not be trades every day of the week. That depends on the games available and the time I've got available. My rule is that family life and normal life comes before trading. So it could well be that I profile a load of games and then something else happens in real life and the trading takes a back seat. And that's how I work, and that works well for me. So for tonight's games, for example, I'm not going to be around, but I'm still going to profile them just for my own experience and hopefully to improve my own readings of games and maybe to improve the strategies as I see fit. I'm looking at my second half goal strategy for this evening's games. The Boston v Morecambe game I'm going to miss because we haven't got the odds available for that yet. But I'm going to look at these 2 National League South games. So we've got Maidenhead and Tonbridge and Torquay and Chippenham, both of which my criteria is hit for looking at a second half goal. So what I'm going to look at here is goals from the 55th to the 90th minute. And what we can see here for the home team Maidenhead is in the 6 home games this season, that's happened on 4 occasions and not on 2. And for Tonbridge away, it's happened on 4 but not on 1. So out of the 11 games, it's happened 8 times. Overall, 72.72%. So what that's telling us is, by the 55th minute, we could ideally need odds of around 138 in this game for the next goal. So that is something that we will keep an eye on, because I'm not just getting on these games willy-nilly. If it gets to the 55th minute and the odds are nowhere near the value mark, then I won't be trading the game. As in the previous series of videos, value is vitally important. It's not just getting on just to improve the strike rate. If I'm not getting the value, we're not doing the trade. Simple as that. With the Torquay versus Chippenham game, we can see we've got 3 where there was a goal for Torquay at home and 3 where there wasn't. And Chippenham away, we've got 4 where there was a goal in that period and 1 game where there wasn't. Also, we've got 11 games here and we've got 7 of those which would have been winners for us. So in order to get value at this game, then the next goal needs to be at 1.57 by the 55th minute, just based on this season alone. We will also check CGMBet over previous seasons for these games as well, but that's kind of where this season's break-even point is. I'm also going to look at the first half goal in some of the earlier games this evening, because I may well be around to actually get onto these. And what I'm using here is a variant of the BTC strategy that they've shown is one of their freebies that they're giving away. I've made some tweaks to it, and I get in at 30 minutes, and I only do this with the free exchange bonus. I don't put any of my own money into these because they're not profitable, so I'll just use the freebies that I'll get from Betfair. So we're going to look at these 3 games. So I'll get on these games at half an hour if there's no goals. Now we can see Den Bosch at home. I've had a goal in the first 30 minutes for every game, whereas Helmond, the 2 out of the 5 haven't. It's highly likely that we won't get on this game. And if we look at the other game, the Os game, the reverse here really. The home team don't really have a goal in the first 30 minutes on 3 games, but you can see here the half-time score, there's been a goal, so that's certainly a good one to look at. Young Amsterdam, they've only had 1 game where there's been no goal at half an hour, and it was 0-0 at half-time. So again, this one may not hit, but we'll try and get on, and we tend to get around the 2.5 mark, so we'll make £1.50 with our pound free bet. And if we lose on these, we lose nothing, which is the only reason that I'm doing them. But we'll come back tomorrow, as I say, and we'll see how it's performed. One other trade that I am doing is the Women's World Cup cricket, and I found this to be a really lucrative strategy, and this game has been rain affected, so as I'm recording this now, they've actually come back on, so I'm missing some trading opportunities. And if there's a clear favourite, which there is in this game, then there's masses of profit to be made, normally by laying the short favourite. If we look at the odds here, I mean, South Africa have come in since the rain delay, but a wicket now will take that out and we can make some nice profits. That's it for day 1, Tuesday the 21st of October. And we'll come back tomorrow with a report on how we've done, and hopefully with some more games that we can trade, and I'll hopefully be around for them tomorrow. So welcome back to day 2 of our 7-day challenge. As you can see from the screen, we're currently starting the day with a negative balance. So the cricket, after we left yesterday, kind of went pear-shaped, mainly because of the weather interruptions, and also because Pakistan were more useless than I actually gave them credit for. What we were expecting was for them to put up some resistance, and the small movements in the market is what normally gives us our profit. So we took a small loss on that game. So looking at Betfair from yesterday, the games that we did get on, we got on to the Den Bosch versus Helmond for first half goal, and we used £1 of our bonus for this, because that is the only reason I use these first half goal strategies, or bet as it is, because it's set and forget, because it doesn't come in that often. When it does, then you can normally make about £1.50 for your pound stake, but I certainly wouldn't be putting £1 of my own money in on these. So that was a scratch. We lost our bonus, didn't get any profit, and the cricket, which was spoken about, which was a 30p loss. The 2 National League games that we were looking at, but I'll say I wasn't around last night. Torquay Chippenham did have a second half goal, I wouldn't have entered into this trade because I don't like 2-0 half-time scores. Also 0-0 half-time scores I don't like. I find that those are the ones which perform the most poorly in this strategy. So even though it looks like that would have won, I wouldn't have touched that game. The Maidenhead versus Tonbridge game, however, would have been a game that would have interested me. And by the 63rd minute, the odds would have been in the range which I would have wanted. Now, as I wasn't trading this game or around, I don't know what the odds were at that time yet. They won't make it into our market data viewer for another 4 days now. So we can analyse it at that point if we wanted to. But again, that looks like something which could well have given us our first profit of the challenge. But as I wasn't around, I wasn't on it. So we move on to today's games. So again, today we're going to start with the second half goal strategy. We can see one game's already been played in the Mexican League, which finished 2-1 to the home team. All goals came in the second half, so even if I was awake at 2 o'clock in the morning, that wouldn't be a game I was on due to the 0-0 half-time score. And we can see the 4 games that meet the criteria today are all in the Norwegian League, kicking off at 5 o'clock this evening. But looking at the odds of the over 2.5 goals on these games, they all seem very shallow. But the only one that's given us some kind of chance of hitting our target odds around the 55th to 60th minute is the Odd versus Lillestrøm game. So we'll look a little bit deeper into this. So as with yesterday, we're looking at over 0.5 goals in the second half, i.e. a second half goal. And we can see that Odd in their home games, this has happened this season 9 times out of 13, 69%. But for Lillestrøm away, it's happened 12 out of 13 times, so 92.31%. And the only time it didn't happen was the first game of the season for them. So this is something that we are definitely interested in. Assuming the odds are in the right range for this game, which is touch and go, then we will definitely be on this should we be around at the time. So we've still got £2 credit left in our free bets from Betfair. So we're going to pursue with the first half goal, and we can see that 3 games have already played here. The Necaxa versus Cruz game finished 1-1. All goals were in the second half, so that would have been a loss. And the games at Mazatlan and Monterrey, you can see there was a few goals in those, but the first goal was too early. So the 3 games would have lost 1, and the other 2 wouldn't have qualified. So out of today's games, again, we're going to look at the over 2.5 odds. And what we're interested in is the Arlesund versus Lyn game in Norway. So if we look a little bit deeper into this one again, and this time we'll look for first half goals after 30 minutes, which is what our entry point will be. So you can see here that the stats are actually identical for both teams. So 42% chance of a goal in the first half. So looking at the odds of this, we need odds to be over 2.36 at the 30th minute to be getting, or to break even. So the higher obviously is our edge on this game, and if it's lower than 2.36 then we're not getting value. So that is certainly one that we'll be looking at as well. So as further clarification as to how the game is going to go, we're going to put them through the Lessons in Logic simulator. So we've brought the data in from CGMBet, and we can see what the odds are there, and we're just going to run this through 100,000 times. This is real time, and there you go, that's 100,000 run now. So what it's saying is that the away team, Lillestrøm in this game, the odds in CGMBet are 141, the simulator's calculated 161, and the draw is calculated 470, whereas the 490 in CGMBet, and the home win is 6, whereas it's 6.4 in CGMBet. And this is our second half goal strategy, so it's saying we've got 78.6% chance of a second half goal, or 1.27 odds. Both teams to score is just a shade under evens. But the overs markets have all got a lesser chance according to the simulator than the actual bookmakers odds. And if you want, you can run another 100,000 simulations here. That gives us 200,000, and you can check the numbers. They haven't changed greatly, but it may give you more accuracy should you need it. So looking at the Arlesund versus Lyn game, we've got the home odds 189. CGMBet's got them 178. The exchange actually got them at 181. The draw, CGMBet had it 380, with the odds in there. 420 is what we've calculated, and 4-1 to 4-3 is what's on the exchange at the moment. And the away win, 420 for CGMBet, which I think I'm using Bet365 odds on there. 430 is what I've calculated. Currently on the exchange it's 4.6, so potentially there's value in backing the away team there. Not that we're saying they're going to win, but just that there's value. First half goal, which is what we're looking for in this game, is 137, and both teams to score 185 in that one. And the overs markets are currently a little bit higher than what Bet365 has inside CGMBet. So again, looking at the correct scores for this game, 0-0, we've got 16.5, whereas Betfair's got 16.5 to 18. 1-0, 9.4, we've got between 9 and 10. 0-1, 15.50, 17.5 to 19, so there's a bit of value there. 1-1, 8.6, 8 to 9.4, that range. 2-0, 11, 10.5 to 12, 0-2, 29, 27 to 40, 2-1, 10, 9 to 10.5, 1-2, 16.50, 16.50 to 19, 2-2, 19, 15.5 to 18.5, 3-0, 19, 16.5 to 19, 0-3, 85, 50 to 110 at the moment, 3-1, 17.5, 15.5 to 18, 1-3, 48, 40 to 60, 3-2, 32, 23 to 32, 3-3, 100, 48 to 90 there. So any other home wins, 10.5. We've got 9.5 to 10.5 there. Any other draw, again, name your price. Any other away win, we've got 50, which is 11.5 to 60. So we can see here just how good this simulator is at matching or being close to what Betfair is showing, and you can see where the little bits of value are. There's no other simulator like this on the market. This is free to CGMBet customers as a reminder. And this current version is 6 months down the line of the project, so it's improved greatly to get to these levels. And currently the version 6 that I'm using here has not been released anywhere at the moment. It's still in testing, but I think you'll agree it's a good bit of kit. What we'll do again is we'll come back tomorrow after the games have been played. Hopefully we'll be in profit this time, but if not, so be it. It's small stakes, it's just a bit of fun. And that's how I view my trading. Yes, it's nice to win. We all want to make money. It's a hobby for me, but I do take it very seriously, and every loss hurts, but not enough to make me chase my losses in the next game. Have a good day, and we'll see you tomorrow. So welcome back to day 2 and day 3 recap. And the reason that we're recapping both days together is because on day 2, there was no actual trades. So if you remember, we had the Odd versus Lillestrøm game, which we were looking for a second half goal in this game. The score was 5-0 at half time. And the odds we were looking at in the second half were nowhere near any value. They were about 2.5, 2.6 for over 6.5 goals in this game. So even when the 57th minute goal went in, the odds were still nowhere near where I would entertain getting on. The other game was the Arlesund versus Lynn game, where we were looking for a first half goal, and obviously we get on at half an hour. The goal came at 25 minutes, and there was no value in this game anyway. So even if it was 0-0 at half an hour, then we would not have got onto this game. So that left us with no trades at all on day 2. Now the temptation would have been to have gone looking for a trade just to get involved, but we need to be disciplined here, and if the trades that you've identified don't hit your entry criteria, then don't force it and go and get onto another game which doesn't meet your criteria, because on another day you'll have plenty of games to go through. So what we'll do now is we'll look at what happened on Wednesday. So Wednesday was a bit of a mixed bag. I traded the India versus New Zealand cricket in the World Cup, as both teams needed a win in this game, and we started off really well. We were almost guaranteed a certain profits, but we wanted some resistance from New Zealand. But as we can see here, the 212-run partnership in double quick time from India really lowered the odds, and New Zealand didn't really recover from that point onwards. They put up a gallant fight, but they were never really in the game. So we reluctantly took a 35p loss on this one. What I also traded, the Nottingham 1109 Greyhound race, as an example to showcase the simulator which I'm using. Now, only I'm using this. It's not available to anybody else because, unlike the football simulator, the Greyhound simulator pretty much is tipping, and I don't want to be responsible for telling somebody else what to put on when it doesn't win. So that's the reason it's just being used for myself. So you can see this race here, the Racing Post had the order of 2, 1 and 4. So what I do is I profile with Gemini, and that has got 3, 4 and 5 as the favourites, because what I do is I Dutch the top 3 just to reduce the risk really. And also in the Greyhound simulator, then I've loaded in all of the data here. So if we start the race, there we can see the simulator thinks dog number 4 followed by 6 followed by 3 is the final order, and we can see that the result was dog number 4 winning at 5 to 1. So I only put 20p on this because, as I say, I'm still testing it out with my simulator, and I got odds of 2.01, I believe, on that. So I made 21p profit back, which kind of offset the 35p we lost at the cricket. And there's not many football matches being played today. There was no second half goal contenders, but there were these 3 games which met the first half goal criteria. So we can see one of the games finished 2-0. There was a 7th minute goal in that game, so that would have not have hit. The other one obviously was 0-0 at half time, so that would have been a full loss. And the final game here, 3-1 to the home team. The goal was scored there with the final kick of the first half. Now the odds at half an hour were massively below where they should have been for value. We got 2.74, the odds should have been over 3. As I was using the free bet to put this on, I went for it anyway. If I was using my own money, well, first of all, I wouldn't be touching this strategy. And even if I was, I would not have gotten this game because of the poor value we were getting from the odds. So we can see today's results here. So the cricket, we lost 35p. The football in Denmark, we backed at 2.74 with our £1 free bet, and we made 64p profit. And the Greyhound Dutch, then we can see overall we lost on 2 selections. We won on the other one, obviously, so we got 21p profit there. So overall today we made £1.50 profit. This video is not about me making hundreds of pounds and showing how great I am. It's showing the thought process. It's showing how difficult it is to make money, how difficult it is to find value, and if we make profit at the end of the week, then great. It's all about teaching, really. I don't claim to be a great trader. I never have done, I never will be. But hopefully these videos are showing you things that may resonate with you, may help you improve, or things that you already know. It doesn't really matter. It's just showing how difficult trading is as a game, and not as simple as some people would have you believe. So to recap where we are then at the moment. So we lost 30p on Tuesday. Yesterday we didn't have any trades at all. And today we have made £1.50 on our 3 trades, giving us an overall position of £1.20 in profit. It's not going to break the bank, it's not going to set the world alight, but hopefully it's showing you with small stakes just how I trade. Hopefully this will open the door to other YouTubers who are allegedly far better traders than I am to have a go and do something similar. And if they can make hundreds in a week and show every single trade like this, then fair play to them, hats off. But I'm not at that level yet, and I never will be. As we're getting closer to the weekend, the games should be improving. There'll be no cricket tomorrow. There'll be no further Greyhounds. It will purely be football, and hopefully some more of the strategies that I use on a regular basis rather than the ones that I'm just having to use these free bets with at the moment. But hopefully we'll increase the £1.20 profit and finish with a nice sum at the end of the challenge. Welcome to Friday's recap, and as you can see we only used 2 games today. The first one was the B93 Copenhagen versus Horsens game, which was the final one of our free bets. We can see here we got on at odds of 3.3, which was still lower than what the value should have been. That was about 34 minutes. We used our £1 bonus, and as you can see we made £2.16 in profits here after commission. And we can see again the goal came in the 43rd minute, so another late one. And although I still wouldn't use this strategy with real money, I find it's not reliable enough. I mean, I have lost 8 in a row previously, but as you can see, the changes that I've made to this strategy are certainly giving you more wins when it does come in. And for a free bet, that's what it's all about. The other game, St Patrick's versus Waterford, we dripped in on this one from 150 downwards, and you can see we put 9 drips into the market, and we lost our 86 pence on this one. Now, we were getting value on this all through, so I'm happy with how this trade went. And when you look at the game here, say it finished 1-1, both goals in the first half, but with 39 shots in the game, 15 on target, and even in the second half, there were 24 shots with 6 on target, so they just couldn't score. We'd got the value, we'd called the right game, and these things happen. But as it was a game which had value in it, then we know that over a long period of games, then this would be profitable. So we'll put that one down to experience. So looking at our overall position, we can see we made £1.30 in total from yesterday's games, which was the £2.16 win minus the 86p loss, which gives us an overall position of £2.50 in profit, which is nothing to shout about, but it's slow and steady. And what we're going to do over the weekend, as we've struggled to find games of value, we're actually going to look at value and then look for reasons maybe not to trade particular games. But it'll be a little bit different, just to add a bit of variety into the video. Hopefully we can make some more profit over the busy periods of the weekend. So it's Saturday morning and there's hundreds of games to pick from today. I've already done my pre-filtering on my second half goal strategy, and I've just come up with 3 games because I don't actually know how much time I'm going to have to trade today. So I've picked the Coventry-Watford game firstly, and if we go into the head-to-head on this one, and you look at the home versus away for second half goals, then we can see both teams have had 4 games where there's been a second half goal and 1 game where there's not been a second half goal. So as Coventry score for fun, the odds are not too bad on this one. If we go back to the previous screen, I'll use a 2.5 goal odds, so 165 should put a second half goal hopefully in our range between the 55th and 60th minutes. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Chester Bedford in the National North. Now the problem with this league is there's not much liquidity going around, so we may struggle on this one, but we can see Chester in all of their games, home or away, have had a second half goal, and Bedford in 2/3 of them. And looking at the home versus away, obviously Chester are 100%, Bedford go down to 50-50, but we're hoping, as Chester are the home team and also the dominant team, then hopefully this run will continue. What we're also going to do is we're going to look in the Rating V module for value, and we're going to pick some pretty games which we wouldn't normally pick where there's value, and we're going to look for reasons why not to trade them. In fact, there won't be trades, they'll be set and forget. There's nothing that I fancy from the home win screen. Let's look at the away wins. So what we've got here, just for clarification, is where it's purple here, the odds at the bookmaker are higher than the implied odds which CGMBet has calculated. So for this game here, it's calculated the odds are being 424, where they're getting offered at 505. And likewise on the lay side here, so the home team has been calculated as having a 47% chance, which is 2.13 odds. And the bookmaker is offering 176, so that would be a potential lay on that one. What we're going to look at is the Barnsley versus Rotherham game here. You can see that Rotherham are almost 4 at the bookmakers, and CGMBet gives them a 30% chance, so 3.3. They're still an outsider. It probably will lose, but let's just dig a little bit deeper into it. So we can see that Rotherham away from home are poor. Apart from their last game, which they won, they've lost every single one. And Barnsley at home are pretty good, apart from their last one, which they lost. And we look at the head-to-head history of these teams, and again, we can see Rotherham struggle against Barnsley. They've only played 4 times over the past 20 years, the last one being last season, and Rotherham have lost every one when they've been at home. And likewise, when the game's been at Barnsley, which it is today, Barnsley have won the last 3 and drawn the one 20 years ago, which is an irrelevance, really. But we're going to just stick a fun bet on here. As we know, we get in value. And looking at the exchange currently at 9:30 in the morning, we can see Rotherham are even further out here at 4.1. So we're getting even more value than the odds in CGMBet at the moment. It's likely to lose, but the value is there. We're getting better odds than what CGMBet has calculated are the correct implied odds. So that's how to beat the bookmaker over a long period. Short term, I'm expecting it to lose. And we're also going to look for value in the Premier League. So what I've done is I've brought in all the results from last season and the current season to date, and the software is telling us which scores would give us value. What we're going to look at here is the under 2.5 and the under 3.5, because they give us the most value over a sustained period. Obviously, over 1.5 there gives us a massive amount, but it's just one game meets that criteria. So let's just bring in the under 2.5 and the under 3.5. And this is the value for each of those games, whether it won or not. What we're going to do is calculate the next 3 days' fixtures and see if there's any which we can find value from here. The Chelsea versus Sunderland one immediately stands out to me. Just to talk about what these numbers are, obviously is the value you're going to get between the implied odds and the current odds. So if we just knock this up to the calculated odds and just refresh this, then under 2.5 in the Chelsea-Sunderland game, the calculated odds are 134 based on the expected goals using this formula. Actual odds that are in CGMBet are 214, so there's a big difference there. So that's how it's calculating the value. So we can see here that on the under 2.5 and the under 3.5 on Chelsea-Sunderland, we're getting value. And again, it might not come in. The actual current odds are over 2, so there's less than a 50% chance it's going to happen. And also Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest under 2.5 goals seems a decent bet as well. So we're going to stick 20p on each of these. Hopefully we can improve our bank, but if not, then we know we're getting value, and if it loses, it loses. So we'll come back after the fixtures have been played and we'll see just how well we've done. Welcome back. What a fun afternoon of trading that was. The second half goal strategies, we had none of those actually come in. The Coventry game had a red card in the 44th minute, which took all of the value out of the market. It turns out there was a second half goal, but we weren't on this game. This was a game where at the beginning there was no value, but as the different scores came in, certainly the 2-0, midway through the first half, there was a lot of value. But the red card, as I say, stripped all that out. So we kept away from that game. And also the Chester versus Bedford game, we can see there was a red card here 4 minutes into the second half. Now, already at half-time, the value in this game was non-existent. The odds were nowhere near where they should have been. And the red card just compounded that. So even though there was a second half goal in the 77th minute, yes, we would have made money if we were in this game, but we were not getting value, and long term, going in at the odds, which it would have been around the 50th, 60th minute, would not be profitable overall. So onto the value bets that CGMBet gave us. So if you remember the Chelsea-Sunderland game, our bets were under 2.5 goals and under 3.5 goals. Now, after 22 minutes in this game, it was looking like we would make a total loss, as both teams obviously scored. And the assumption was that Chelsea would have gone on to have won the game. We could have cashed out, but as this was a value bet and CGMBet tells us that we would be in profit if we kept in the game over a number of games with these odds, we stayed in. And we almost pulled it off, but obviously in the 93rd minute, it was actually Sunderland that took the lead, which meant the 2.5 goals bet would lose, but the 3.5 goals bet did actually come in. So that would have been an overall loss for us, as we'll see in a moment. Now, the Barnsley versus Rotherham game was a totally left field selection here that CGMBet gave us. So if you remember, the calculated odds for this game from CGMBet was 3.34, whereas the bookmakers at the time were giving us almost 4 on this game. Now, there was only a 29.9% chance of this coming in. But as we were getting value, we just stuck a bet on just for the hell of it, with the expectation that it would have lost. As we've just shown, in the 64th minute, Rotherham did take the lead. But looking at the stats, they got absolutely battered. 4 shots against 19. We actually bottled it with about 6 or 7 minutes to go, and we took the cash out on this one. But what we did was we made sure that the cash out we were taking would cover the other two bets we'd got on the Chelsea versus Sunderland game. With hindsight, we were 19p down on taking the full amount from here. But my question is to any more experienced traders than myself, would you have done the same, or would you have let them all run? I let the Chelsea one run, and obviously that lost. So I feel kind of vindicated that we took the profit on the Barnsley-Rotherham game because it was so far out. As you can see here, we actually got odds of 420 on Rotherham to win, and we cashed out when the odds were down to 130. So overall, we made a profit of 29p today, which granted is not a great deal, but you tell me any other software on the market which would have even had a Rotherham win on the radar in this game. Now, the software isn't telling you that to go and back Rotherham, it's just telling you the odds that were on offer were value, and we've taken those value odds and we've profited from that. And that is how you make profit in trading. No other software, as far as I'm aware, is giving you this kind of information. So another reason to purchase CGMBet, and if you haven't already done so, the link is in the description below for a heavily discounted offer for all Lessons in Logic viewers. So we were 3 minutes away from a full house on all of our selections today, and that would give us about a 70p profit. But unfortunately, that late goal in the Chelsea game reduced the profit, but it was still green. And overall now, with 2 days of the challenge to go, we are £2.79 up. So we've increased our bank by 1.8% since the challenge started, which is not bad going. Admittedly, we don't have the free bets every week, which we've had this week. This is still not a bad return. We've only had one losing day, and that was just because, say, the cricket didn't go to plan, and we're not touching the cricket again for the remainder of the challenge. So we'll come back tomorrow. Tomorrow might be a reduced day due to other commitments, but we'll see what games CGMBet gives us, and we'll take it from there. Until then, thank you again for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. Welcome back to Sunday's roundup, and this will be a nice and quick one because we've done absolutely no trades today. I just didn't fancy it, to be honest. And that's another key aspect of trading. Don't force yourself to trade every day. If you'd rather go and do something else, or there's no games to trade, just give yourself a day off. And that's what I've done today. I had a look at a couple of games, and I did actually kind of watch them in play, and the goal came too early in the second half for us to even consider getting involved. There was no real value. I did have a quick go on the cricket, but that was rained off, so that gets voided. So that's not even showing in the list of trades for today. So we'll come back tomorrow for one final day, and hopefully we can pick up a few more winners to improve the bank balance. We'll see you tomorrow. Welcome back to the final day of our challenge. So today we had two games we were involved in. Now the first one is one that I probably wouldn't have got involved in normally, Rapid Bucharest versus Unirea. And the reason I wouldn't have got involved in this potentially was because the half-time score was 3-0. Now, I've said before that 2-0 I don't get involved in, but in this game, the implied odds that CGMBet was giving me were too good to miss out on. So I actually lowered my stakes even further. I only put 20p's into this one as my drip feeds, and I only got one matched before the goal went in. So we can see in the 61st minute, it went to 4-0. So it was only a small profit on this one. But as I say, I've never got into a market at 3-0 before at half time, so I just wanted to test the water. The second one that interested me was one that the CGMBet rating V highlighted to me as having a tremendous amount of value. And that was the Port Vale versus Stockport game. And as we can see that Stockport were on offer around 2.7, whereas CGMBet calculated the real odds as a touch under 2. And as we can see, the final score here was 3-0 to Stockport. That was all done and dusted really in the first half an hour. So you may be wondering why I picked this game. I didn't just pick it randomly. I liked the odds. They were in a good range. The away team should have been the favourite, even though at the bookmakers it was a toss-up between home and away. And I've done a further analysis and came to the conclusion that Stockport were great value in this game. And that is the reason I've taken this bet on. Now, as you can see here, I actually did cash out on half-time, and that wasn't intentional. That was because my hand slipped on the laptop and cashed out. So we can see from the bets that we put on yesterday, we won just 8p on the Rapid game. So we had 120p drip matched on that one. We've got a load more lined up further down, which didn't even get that far. And the Port Vale Stockport game, I'll just go back down to there again. So we actually got at 2.66. The odds had dropped slightly by the time we'd got on, and we won that quite easily. Overall, that gives me a balance of 161.32, and I'm going to refresh the screen on that. There we go, and that's still 161.32. That can be seen as our real live balance for me. And if we look over the previous 7 days, which has been the duration of the challenge, then we can see that our profit has been £3.16 across all of these markets. There we go. So we've done 12 markets in the last week, and we've actually finished with a profit, which has been helped, admittedly, by the free bets that we had on, but that's probably influenced the lower stakes on the other markets. I've made 2% of my bank in profits over the last week, and that, in my mind, is pretty sound bank management. I could have increased the stakes, I would have won more, but I could have lost more, and that's kind of the risk level that I'm at. I want small and regular profits rather than the big bang followed by a big loss. So to summarise, we lost 30p on the first day, didn't get any trades on the second day, won £1.50, mainly down to one of our free bets coming in. Same on the Friday. Saturday we won a small amount. Sunday we didn't trade at all because we just didn't feel like it. And last night we made the 37p, giving us our £3.16, which agrees with Betfair. And looking at this over different markets, so the cricket scalping was a bit of a disaster for us. We lost 65p over our 2 trades on that one, mainly down to the weather. The Greyhound Dutching, if you remember, we used our own software to pick one meeting for this and pretty much doubled our stake. The football first half goals won us £3.80 over 2 trades, mainly because I was a little bit more gung-ho and putting in bigger odds there, and both those came in towards half time. The football second half goals, we had 2 in here, which the first one, if you remember, had 37 shots in it and they just couldn't get a second half goal. And the second one was last night's Romanian game, which was 3-0 at half time. So we were dripping in smaller stakes and got matched and hit after our first stake. And the football value bets are the games which typically don't meet any strategy, but CGMBet has highlighted the odds as being value, and we've got on them and we've made 58p. I think we had 3 winners and 1 loss, and that 1 loss was a 93rd minute goal at Chelsea. Otherwise we'd have had a clean sweep on that. That would have taken us up to about £1, I think, profit. This is an interesting observation. So using my own intuition, i.e. no software to drive me, I would have lost 65p, which are the 2 cricket bets. Using decision-making trading software, specifically CGMBet, the Lessons in Logic match simulator, and the Greyhound simulator, we would have made £3.81. And in total, there have been 12 trades and 7 winners. You can see here, you don't necessarily need a high strike rate to get a profit. Even if we were putting real money on the first half goals, we'd have lost £1 on that, on the one which didn't win. I mean, obviously we lost nothing because it was a free bet, so we'd have still been £2.16 in profit if we were using our own money. Hopefully this video has given you an insight into why I think CGMBet is the only tool that you need. It's finding value, it's finding games which are competitive and meet the criteria of strategy, and it's just an all-round winner for me. And combined with my own software, I think I'm in a good place trading. I'm pleased I've made a profit. A lot of you will probably scoff that it's only £3, but you've seen the kind of stakes that I've been using. I haven't wanted to go blasé and big bang and put everything on and for it to come crashing down. And likewise, I didn't want to be getting big winners because that's just not the way I trade. Big winners are nice, but with big winners come big losses, and you take the rough with the smooth. Whereas small bets, and these are probably smaller than I typically would use, there's a bit more pressure when you're doing it on video. So I've tried to keep it small just in case things did go a little bit wrong. But hopefully you've enjoyed this video. I look forward to the other content creators doing something similar, because I do think it's important to be transparent and to show your strategies over a period of time, i.e. a week. And I say it also makes good content because people are actually seeing what you're doing and either get the confidence to use that strategy or not, as the case may be. Anyway, thanks for watching. I appreciate it's been a long one, and hopefully you've got some enjoyment and some education out of it. Thank you.